Welcome, everybody, to the Victory Theater Bare Bones production of Backstory, an evening of true stories, poetry, and flights of fancy. I'm Carl Weintraub. I'll be your host. Tonight's theme, Angels in America. The plot. Two men, Pryor and Lewis, are in a loving relationship. They'd probably be married if it wasn't against the law. Pryor gets AIDS. Lewis freaks out, abandons the relationship, and falls in love with Joe, a button-down, closet-cased Mormon who's married to Harper, a woman beset by vivid hallucinations. Speaking of hallucinations, or not, Pryor is visited by a female angel who wants to fuck him and whom he later wrestles to save mankind. The play premiered in 1991 and is set in 1985. I saw it up in San Francisco in the early 90s in an intimate venue, which is the way I wish everybody could see this play. The angel in that production was played by a woman I'd had a fling with a few years earlier, but now she was kind of androgynous and a whole lot tougher than I remembered her. There is discussion about angels being androgynous, perfect and complete. But it seems to me that most of the angels in the Bible are male, certainly the fallen ones, and most of the angels we see on the top of Christmas trees are hanging on strings in people's living rooms are female. I don't know. Anyway, revisiting Angels in America made me want to revisit the Wim Wenders film, Wings of Desire. Did you see that? Could be titled Angels in Berlin, another movie about angels and sexuality. In that movie, there's angels everywhere, listening in on our every thought. I like that idea. I like the idea of an angel on my shoulder. Actually, I believe I have one. Has saved my life more than once. And I don't think of that one as having any gender. It's just perfect and mine alone. And then there's my wife, Lori, also an angel. I see the work she does everywhere she goes. I see how she touches and affects every person she encounters. Nothing sexual in those acts of compassion and healing. I'm talking about angels and sexuality at the same time. That's what this play makes you do. But hey, also the themes of this play: sexuality, angels, the virus. So much food for thought in these current times. Okay. Being a heterosexual white male these days, I am consumed with trying to figure out what my attitudes or relationships or even what my prejudices are, as much toward different sexualities as to different races. And I'm so confused. I mean, on one hand, homosexuality, I got no bad feelings about homosexuality, but it makes me very uncomfortable when I see men making out on screen. One of my grandchildren has recently identified as non-binary, and it's a struggle for me to recognize them as other than I've always perceived them. And then there's race. Okay, I feel much more affinity to Black people than I do to people of my own Jewish tribe. And I have more prejudice towards gun-toting good old boys than I do to either Jews or Blacks, but I'm not Black. I can't experience firsthand the experience of being Black. So with all the protests all around and all the divergent sexualities all around, lately, I'm feeling like I'm the outsider looking in. But in reality, I'm not the outsider. I'm the heterosexual white male. I am the insider. I hold the power that represses people of other colors, other genders, and other sexualities. And then there's the virus. Nearly 700,000 people have died of AIDS in the US. About 30,000 new cases of HIV are reported in the US every year. 13,000 people a year still die of HIV in the US. It's a virus like herpes. If you get it, you've got it for the rest of your life. All you can hope to do is manage it. To put things in perspective, the coronavirus, over 6.5 million cases in the US, nearly 200,000 deaths in just the first 6 months alone. To put things in perspective, the Spanish flu in 1918, 675,000 people died in the US, and people still die of it today. Corona isn't going away. We'll get a vaccine, hopefully not by November, for a couple of reasons. One, that it's just not enough time to test it for safety. And two, we don't need something else for Trump to crow about before the election. But we'll get a vaccine, and people will still die, and people will still get the virus. And hey, just like the coronavirus, AIDS adversely affects people of color to a far greater extent than it does us white folk. The difference is you can get the Spanish flu or the China virus just by walking around. To get AIDS, you have to do dirty stuff like having illicit sex or shooting drugs. Us white heterosexual men, be we Jews or good old boys, we who hold the power to change shit in this country, well, we don't cater to that kind of shit, especially when the majority of those affected are of a different race or sexual orientation than we are. Back when we did An Inconvenient Truth on Backstory a few months ago, I talked about how I don't do activism, how my efforts to make the world a better place will remain in my own backyard. Well, I've been having a lot of conversations since then and been doing some reading. Listen, I'm not a bigot. A lot of you know me, I'm a good guy, but I am a member of the race and gender that perpetuates a system of racism and genderism in this country, and only the members of that system can affect change in it. The angel Pryor wrestles with in the play is called the Angel America. So I'm looking to make it a tag team match. I'm waiting at the ropes. I might have to start leaving my own backyard.